Hey guys, welcome to a very long overdue MTG Spec. I am Tom, your host, and today we're going to continue talking about the forgotten, sort of lost or abandoned character classes and character types in Magic that do not have a legendary version. So they have no possibility of a commander outside of a universal changeling commander like Morofon or something like that. And our host today is Corona-chan, who's very sore that she was left out of the A through C episode, so better late than never. But let's take a look here. Alright, first in the D's we have the Dalthy. Not much to say here. They have Shadow, which means it's a mechanic that we'll probably only see in a specialty set, like maybe instead of doing Snowlands for Modern Horizons 2, they may have some Dalthy and throw in a commander for them. But for the most part, yeah, they're just it's black, so this also would be perfect for a jumpstart. So I'd say the likelihood of these guys getting their own commander is fairly high. Also, I want to point out, with the last video, I thought maybe there'd be like maybe 20 different creature types overall that didn't have a commander like in the whole game, and we already broke through like 21 in the first episode, A through C. So take a second just to guess how many we're going to have in D, E, and F, and we'll see how right you are. So after the Dalthy, we got the Demigod. Of course, you could have just paused the screen and just screen cap the bookmarks I had, but that's cheating. Demigod. This actually is probably one of the worst scenarios in this whole mental experiment, because here we have actually a character type where every character that is a demigod is legendary. So why is it included on this list? Because you cannot have all these characters in one commander deck. Even though they're legendary, they themselves have to be the commanders of their own thing. They can't be commanders of the demigods. So we need a 5-color demigod, or all these guys will just forever be sort of like lost in terms of having a demigod theme commander deck. So that doesn't count, but I thought it was interesting to point out. Here's another one that's kind of doomed. The Deserter. This is only created by one card, the Keljoran Home Guard, that says every time he blocks or something that you get a 0/1 Deserter, but he loses power. So the idea is this guy himself is like a little small militia of guys, and they just pop off one by one. So I'm sure there's zero appetite to have a Deserter deck or card or commander. Probably one of that one you can rate that with Zombie Army on the completely doomed list. So after that we have let's see, this guy, I think this guy used to date Rihanna. Drake. Here we go. Drake's has been a supported class for a long time. I'm seeing one from Tempest, Mirage, a couple from Mirage. I mean, they're popular, but the problem is that they're just little dragonlets. They're not really like super powerful. This guy Fire Drake was originally from the Dark. So these guys have been around since the Four Horsemen set. And a couple of them even have art by the great Jeff Darrow. So these guys have been around. Like, look at them, they just keep coming. There's tons of these guys. That dude's awesome, the Shrieking Drake from Visions. I mean, they've been around forever, but they're just little dudes that aren't very impactful to the game. They're usually like 2/2s to 2/4s, but they're in a lot of colors. I don't know. I really don't see why they don't have a legendary Drake. I guess it's just because they're just basically the dragon equivalent of pigeons. They're just sort of a nuisance. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tricky one. And next we have Dreadnought, which has one card in its entire class, which is the Phyrexian Dreadnought. It's pretty cool. I mean, they did a boat recently in what's it, Kaladesh or Ether Revolt, that was a ship called a Dreadnought, which Dreadnought's typically a ship term. But so this guy cast for 1, but he's a 12/12, and the ship was he cast it for 1, and it's like a 7/12 or something like that. So they tipped their hat to it, but it's not really something that's a class, it's kind of a class of its own, I guess. So after him, we have Drone. Now this is another one that is really strange, because you can see it's supported in almost every color. Not a lot of white drones that I'm seeing here, maybe none at all, but it's largely confined to the Eldrazi. And the problem with drones is and also the spikes. So it's basically like a herd animal, not a herd animal, but like a swarm intelligence type animal, which is sort of antithetical to. God, wait, there's more. There's another page of these. Okay, just these guys. But yeah, a drone by nature is something without its own consciousness or intelligence. So having a legendary thing without consciousness or intelligence, it's not very likely that they're ever going to do a commander for that. But they may. It's certainly supported in terms of just sheer numbers. And then next up we have Efreet. So another one that, these are sort of, I would say Efreets are to Djinns what Drakes are to Dragons. They're sort of the littler, less important version. You got Juzum Djinn, who's like Juzum Djinn, the big badass, and then you had Junun Efreet, the same set. It's kind of a wimpy little wishy-washy version. I mean, they're still around, but mostly also in red and green. Also this one, I think this one you have to, Tempest Efreet is one of the 9 anti cards that exist that you have to remove from your deck if you're not playing for anti, so he definitely won't have a commander anytime soon. But yeah, it is an interesting character type, and there's a lot of potential growth, I think, for it if they ever go back to an Arabian style set. So maybe they'll luck out and get a leader someday. Next up is another one that, much like Drone, the egg is this thing that has no personality of its own. Although look at this little rascal, he looks like he's brimming with personality. But for the most part, eggs, I mean, it's still a supported card type, I guess. But yeah, Ludovic's test subject, the one that turns into the 13/13 Trampler, the fact that wasn't legendary sort of blew it for these others, although he would have been out of color for the rest of them anyway. So eggs are probably half-baked at this point. I don't think they're going to get a leader. Alright, next up, this is another one that's really weird. Elder. So Elder is, it's like Thief or, Rogue. It's more of a class description than it is a race description. But they've actually used it a couple of times. They used it for a demon most recently, but they've also used it for dinosaurs. So it's kind of a cool thing. But also the Titans. But again, it's almost all these guys are already legendary. So they just need like an Elder Drago or something to put them all under the same umbrella. But this one I just wanted to point out is not something that's going to have like a leader of its own. Like they're all sort of leaders if they're elders already. Sort of the opposite of Drone. And next up, this one's kind of surprising, but not really, I guess. But yeah, Elephants. This one is weird because there is a legendary elephant, Frankie Peanuts, but he's a silver bordered Joe card, so he doesn't really count. But yeah, lots of potential here. And they're typically, just white or green. There's a lot of Roxodons, or whatever they are, the elephant Loxodons. So, there's a lot of characters with personality that could eventually take over and become a legendary leader. So next up, we have another one that, maybe there's some hope in the Viking set for an elk commander. Again, mostly white, green. Oh, this is another one that I wanted to include because this one does actually have a legendary, but this is one of the things that Wizards does that's so frustrating. The legendary they chose is a hybrid red-green, and it's also the first red elk. All these other elks that you can see are white. I mean, there's the wetland sandbar that's blue, but for the most part it's a white-green type. So this is, I just wanted to point this out as like one of the weird things they do. where they'll put a legendary creature in there, but it's incomplete, or it doesn't actually lend itself to a commander deck. So next up is, this is a really strange one. Alright, we got a joke card, we can ignore that, but there's two eyes. There's the left eye and the right eye, the Evil Eye of Urborg and the Evil Eye of Wormsbygore. I feel kind of complete, the fact that there's two of them. You know, they're probably never going to have a legendary eye to rule them all, but if they do, they'll probably make it blue so that these two black eyes can't be put into the same commander deck. Alright, ferrets. You know, with all the dirty hippies working in Seattle and for Wizards of the Coast, you'd think there'd be more ferrets. These pot-smoking hippies, what are you doing? Why is there only one ferret? People are monsters. Alright. Next up, we have Go Fish. Alright, fish. Yeah, and this is separate from, like, sharks, and, you know, I think it is. Maybe it's not. Anyway, there's a lot of fish here. Plenty of fish in the sea, but no leadership whatsoever. And Island Fish Jasconius probably would have been, but he came out in Arabian Nights before the legendary mechanic existed. So, next up, this one's pretty lame. The Flag Bearer. Not that bearing flags is lame, but these guys, there's only two of them, and they're both white, and by nature, flag bearers are sort of like expendable guys on the battlefield. I don't think you're really going to get a legendary guy who rose up through the ranks as the #1 flag bearer. Just doesn't seem likely. Alright. Next up, we have Fungus Among Us. We have quite a few, and they're back. You know, Fungus Aura was back from Alpha, so this is an old class. But, you know, just no commanders. Look at all these guys. All the Thalids and all the Saprolings and all this stuff. They're all fungus, but they are fun guys, but they are not good leaders. And next up, we have nothing. A Link to Card Kingdom. Sure. I am not sponsored by Card Kingdom, but I'm thinking about selling a bunch of stuff to them. If you guys have tried Card Kingdom, let me know if they're worth messing with in the comment below. Alright, well that is about it. I was going to get this earlier, but I'm trying to move towards using a real, like a camera phone camera as opposed to this old Kodak camera, which again, one of the worst cameras ever. So I'm going to put up some links here for other videos. I just bought a bunch more batteries. This thing eats up batteries horrifically. Every time I do like a 15-minute video, it kills 2 AA batteries. So I'm trying to get better technology for you guys. Also looking to try to really do a push towards monetization, trying to get about 50 videos up before October. Grandiose plans, but you know, I need your support. I need you to like and share and subscribe and whatever you can do. Just, you know, leave a comment, just leave a like, leave a dislike, whatever, get engaged. But I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you give these links a try, and I also hope that you have a wonderful day. We'll see you for the next part soon. Das Vidanya, y'all.